My name is Olivia, and for most of my life, I believed in the fairy tale version of love. The one where a husband is loyal, where trust is unshakable, and where marriage is sacred. For 7 years, I thought I had that with Michael, my husband, my best friend, my everything. But I was wrong. The night it all began, I was sitting on our couch waiting for him to come home. Michael had promised he'd be back by 8. We were supposed to have dinner together, something we hadn't done in weeks because of his busy schedule. By 10:30, the food was cold, and my heart was heavy with worry. Finally, I heard the door unlock. Michael walked in, loosening his tie, looking drained. But what struck me wasn't his exhaustion. It was the faint trace of perfume on his shirt, a scent that didn't belong to me. "Olivia," he smiled faintly, trying to brush past me. "Sorry I'm late." Meetings ran over. I forced a small smile, even as my gut twisted. Meetings always seem to run over these days. He froze for a second, then laughed nervously. "That's corporate life, sweetheart. Sweetheart." He said it so easily, as if the word itself could erase the doubt growing inside me. But that night, while he showered, I sat in silence. Something inside me knew that he wasn't just working late. Over the next few weeks, I noticed patterns. Michael's phone was always on silent. He'd step outside to take calls. He was suddenly more careful with his suits, even buying new cologne. But the thing that broke me wasn't his distance, it was his charm. Every time I grew suspicious, he'd disarm me with a smile, a joke, or a kiss on the forehead. He thought I was naive. He thought I'd stay quiet, that I'd never dare to question him. But he was wrong. One night, Michael came home even later than usual. Past midnight. He reeked of alcohol, but not enough to hide the scent of someone else's perfume again. As he collapsed into bed, I lay awake, staring at him. I remembered our wedding day. The way he had looked at me when he said, "I'll love you forever, Olivia." And now here he was, breaking every promise, every vow with a stranger whose name I didn't even know. Tears burned in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. No, if Michael wanted to betray me, I would make sure he paid the price. And that night, my heart shifted. I wasn't just his wife anymore. I was his judge, his shadow, his reckoning. The next morning, I greeted him with a smile, made his coffee, asked about his schedule, played the role of the perfect wife while inside. I was planning. I knew if I confronted him now, he'd deny everything. Men like Michael always do. No, I needed proof. I needed him to reveal himself with his own lies, his own actions. So, I chose silence. Silence, I realized, was my weapon. It didn't take long before I found my first clue. While Michael was in the shower, his phone buzzed. Normally, I wouldn't have dared touch it. But now? My hands shook as I unlocked it. He'd carelessly left the code unchanged. And there it was. A message. "Sophia, can't wait to see you tonight." My breath caught in my throat. Sophia. Name. A woman. A reality I could no longer ignore. I didn't reply. I didn't confront him. Instead, I memorized the time, the place. She had just confirmed my suspicions. That evening, I dressed him in his favorite tie, kissed him goodbye, and waved from the doorway. He thought I was clueless. He thought he was clever. But as soon as he left, I followed. My heart raced with every turn of the wheel, my palms sweaty as I gripped the steering wheel tighter. And then I saw it, Michael at a restaurant. Across from her. Sophia. She was beautiful, confident, her hand brushing his across the table as if she owned him. I snapped a picture, my hands trembling but steady enough to capture the truth. One image was all it took. Proof of betrayal. I could have stormed inside, could have screamed, could have thrown everything into chaos right there. But no, that wasn't my revenge. My revenge had to be precise. It had to break him the way he had broken me, silently, unexpectedly, completely. When Michael came home that night, he smiled like nothing had happened. He even brought me flowers, as if a cheap bouquet could wash away the perfume of another woman. "How was your evening, Olivia?" he asked. I forced a smile. "Peaceful," I whispered, but inside my heart thundered with rage, because I now held the power, the knowledge, the proof. And the longer I kept my silence, the stronger my revenge would become. Michael thought I was weak, that I would never fight back. But he had no idea that every lie, every betrayal was sharpening me into someone he wouldn't recognize. Someone who would stun him beyond words. I stared at Michael as he slept peacefully beside me, unaware of the storm I was about to unleash. And in that moment, I asked myself, when the time comes, will I destroy him in private, or shatter his entire world in front of everyone he loves? The next morning, Michael woke up whistling, completely unaware that his secret had already been exposed. He kissed me on the cheek and rushed off to work, leaving behind the faint smell of cologne and lies. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the picture I had taken of him and Sophia. My hands trembled, not with sadness anymore, but with anticipation. This picture wasn't just evidence. It was a weapon, and I was going to use it wisely. That evening, when Michael came home, I decided to test him. "How was work?" I asked casually as I stirred the pasta sauce. He loosened his tie and sighed. "Exhausting. Back-to-back meetings. You know how it is." "Meetings. Of course." I bit my lip to stop myself from laughing. Just hours ago, he had been smiling across the table at Sophia, drinking wine like he didn't have a wife waiting at home. "Oh, poor you," I said softly, pretending to sympathize. "I'll make your favorite tonight. Maybe it'll make you feel better." His eyes lit up. "You're the best, Olivia. I don't know what I'd do without you." I wanted to scream, "You'd be with Sophia, that's what." But instead, I smiled sweetly. Because every lie he fed me only made my revenge taste sweeter. 2 nights later, Michael made his first mistake. He came home late again, his shirt slightly wrinkled, his hair out of place. "Traffic was terrible," he muttered as he dropped his briefcase on the couch. "Really?" I tilted my head. "Because I checked the traffic map. The roads were clear." His eyes widened for a fraction of a second before he forced a laugh. "Oh, must have been an accident somewhere else then. You know how these apps are never accurate." I smiled, hiding my satisfaction. He was slipping, slowly but surely. The name Sophia haunted me like a ghost. Who was she? Where did she come from? And what made her so special that Michael was willing to throw away our marriage for her? I couldn't rest until I knew. So I did something I never thought I would. I followed her. One Saturday afternoon, Michael claimed he was going to the office. I knew better. 10 minutes after he left, I was in my car, following at a safe distance. And just as I expected, he didn't go to work. He drove straight to a little cafe downtown. And there she was. Sophia. She wasn't just beautiful, she was polished, elegant, the kind of woman who carried herself like the world owed her something. I watched as Michael greeted her with a hug that lingered a little too long. They sat together, laughing, whispering, their hands brushing across the table as if I never existed. My chest ached, but I refused to cry. Instead, I pulled out my phone and hit record. By now, I had collected enough to ruin him completely: texts, pictures, recordings. But I didn't want to rush. No, Michael deserved something bigger. Something unforgettable. So I started a folder on my laptop. I called it Truth. Every time he lied to me, every time he betrayed me, I added another piece of evidence to it. It was like writing a diary, but instead of words, it was filled with his sins. And one day, I promised myself I'd make him read every single page. But to make my revenge work, I had to keep playing the part. So I cooked his favorite meals. I laughed at his jokes. I even started suggesting little date nights, just to watch him squirm as he scrambled for excuses. Once, I suggested a Friday dinner at the Italian restaurant where we had our first anniversary. He hesitated, then said, I can't, Olivia. I've got this client dinner I can't skip. Client dinner. Right. I almost laughed out loud. Instead, I leaned in and kissed his cheek. Of course, honey. I understand. His relief was almost comical. He really thought I was buying it. But as days turned into weeks, I realized something chilling. Michael wasn't just lying to me. He was falling deeper into Sophia's arms. I overheard one of their phone calls when he thought I was asleep. His voice was soft, tender, filled with words he hadn't spoken to me in years. I can't stop thinking about you, Sophia. You make me feel alive again. Alive. That word cut me like a knife. So what was I then? Just a ghost he kept at home? That night, as he whispered sweet nothings to her, I lay in bed with my eyes wide open, already crafting the next stage of my plan. One evening, while Michael was in the shower, I took his phone again. This time, I didn't just read the messages, I replied. Sophia. Miss you already. Me as Michael. Soon, baby. But things are getting complicated. Olivia's starting to suspect something. I hit send and smiled. The truth was, I wanted cracks between them. I wanted Sophia to feel insecure, to doubt Michael, to wonder if he was worth the risk. Because if I could turn them against each other, my revenge would be twice as satisfying. The next day, Michael seemed distracted, uneasy. He kept checking his phone, frowning at every buzz. What's wrong? I asked innocently, placing my hand on his arm. He forced a smile. Nothing. Just work stress. Work stress. I almost laughed again. No, this wasn't work stress. This was the first taste of fear. And I loved every second of it. That night, as Michael slept beside me, I stared at his phone glowing on the nightstand. One more lie, one more secret, one more push, and his perfect little double life would come crashing down. The only question was, should I destroy him slowly? Or should I end it all in one brutal strike? The tension in our home had become unbearable. Michael's lies were stacking up so high, it was only a matter of time before they toppled over. Every day, he came home later. Every night, he whispered to Sophia like I was invisible. And every morning, he kissed me goodbye with the same lips that had kissed her the night before. But I wasn't the same woman anymore. I wasn't blind. I wasn't naive. I was waiting, watching, preparing. And soon, he would regret every deceitful word. The perfect opportunity came on Michael's birthday. He thought I didn't know about his plans with Sophia, but I did. He had told me he was working late that night, so I pretended to believe him and smiled sweetly as I handed him his favorite tie in the morning. Don't work too hard, I whispered. He kissed me quickly and left, relief washing over his face. He really thought he had fooled me. But I had my own surprise planned. That evening, I dressed in a simple black dress, nothing flashy, just enough to blend in. Then I drove quietly to the restaurant where I knew they would be. And there they were. Michael and Sophia. They sat in a candlelit corner, his hand covering hers, her laugh ringing out like music only he could hear. A birthday dinner for two. I watched them for a moment, my heart pounding with both pain and power. Then I walked in. Happy birthday, Michael. My voice cut through the air like glass shattering. Michael froze. His fork slipped from his hand and clattered against the plate. Sophia's smile faded instantly, replaced by a look of pure horror. Oh, Olivia, Michael stammered, his face turning pale. What are you doing here? I tilted my head, forcing a calm smile. Funny. I was going to ask you the same thing. I thought you were working late. The silence in the restaurant was deafening. People turned to look. Whispers filled the air. Sophia shifted uncomfortably, trying to pull her hand back, but Michael held on as if letting go would expose him even more. Olivia, this isn't what it looks like, he said desperately. Oh? I raised an eyebrow. So you're not on a date with your mistress on your birthday, while your wife sits at home believing you're working? Gasps echoed from nearby tables. Michael's jaw tightened, his mask slipping. Before he could respond, Sophia spoke up. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed her nerves. Maybe it's time you knew the truth, Olivia. Michael doesn't love you anymore. He loves me. Her words struck like a knife, but I didn't flinch. Instead, I leaned forward slightly and whispered, "You're very bold for a woman stealing another woman's husband. But tell me, Sophia, does he tell you he loves you before or after he lies about being with me?" Her confidence faltered, just for a second. I saw the doubt flicker across her face. Michael stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "Enough. Olivia, you're embarrassing yourself. We'll talk about this at home." I laughed, cold, sharp, unforgiving. "At home? No, Michael. We'll talk about it right here, right now. Because everyone deserves to know the kind of man you really are." The room buzzed with murmurs. Michael's face flushed crimson. He reached out to grab my arm, but I stepped back. "Don't touch me," I hissed. "Save your fake tenderness for Sophia." For a moment, Michael just stood there, trapped between his wife and his mistress, both women staring at him with fire in their eyes. Finally, I shook my head, my voice trembling but strong. "You know what, Michael? Keep your lies. Keep your betrayal. Keep her. Because soon everything you've built with me is going to crumble, and you'll have nothing left." Without another word, I turned and walked out of the restaurant. But I wasn't walking away in defeat. No, I was walking away in victory, because I had every weapon I needed to destroy him. When Michael came home that night, he tried to play the victim. "You humiliated me, Olivia," he shouted, slamming the door. I stood calmly in the living room, arms crossed. "No, Michael. You humiliated yourself the moment you chose her over me." His face twisted with rage. "You don't understand. I love her." I laughed bitterly. "Then go. Be with her. But don't think for a second you'll walk away from me unscathed." What Michael didn't know was that while he was drowning in guilt and confusion, I was already spreading the seeds of his downfall. The photos, the recordings, the fake text I had sent as him. Everything was falling into place. Sophia had already started doubting him. Her messages had grown colder, shorter, less certain. And soon, I would give her the final push she needed to walk away from him for good. But that wasn't enough. No, I wanted more. I wanted his entire world to collapse. And I knew exactly how to make it happen. As Michael stormed upstairs, slamming the bedroom door, I sat on the couch with my laptop open, staring at the folder labeled Truth. Tomorrow, I thought. Tomorrow, I release everything. And when I do, Michael won't just lose me. He'll lose Sophia, his reputation, his carefully crafted lies, everything. That night, while Michael slept upstairs, I sat in the dim glow of my laptop. My hands hovered over the keyboard, my heart pounding with both fear and exhilaration. Everything I had collected, the photos of him and Sophia, the audio recordings of his lies, the fake text messages I had crafted, was neatly organized in a folder called Truth. For weeks, I had been preparing, watching, waiting, and now the time had come. I started small. Anonymous messages. Screenshots slipped into inboxes. Just enough to plant seeds of doubt in Sophia's mind. Late that night, I sent her a package of evidence from a hidden account, photos of Michael with another woman from months ago, messages he had once sent me while pretending to be working late. Within minutes, she saw them. I knew because I had hacked into Michael's spare phone. Every notification pinged through to me. At first, Sophia denied it. "These are fake. Michael would never." But doubt is a dangerous thing. Once it takes root, it grows like wildfire. By the next morning, Sophia had blocked him. Michael was proud of his spotless image, a successful businessman, a devoted husband, a man people respected. So I shattered it. I created a fake profile and leaked the photos and videos. Not all at once, just enough to get tongues wagging. A blurry picture of Michael kissing Sophia in a parking lot. A recording of him whispering, "Don't tell Olivia." It spread like wildfire. By noon, his colleagues were whispering behind his back. His friends texted him with fake concern. Even his own family began to call, asking questions he couldn't answer. And I sat at home, sipping tea, watching the chaos unfold. He came home that evening looking like a ghost. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair disheveled, his eyes bloodshot. "Olivia," he said, his voice shaking. "Something's happening. Someone's trying to ruin me." "There are photos, recordings." I tilted my head innocently. "Photos? Recordings? Of what?" His face hardened. "You know exactly what I mean." I shrugged. "I don't know, Michael. Maybe the truth has a way of revealing itself." His jaw tightened, but he didn't dare accuse me directly. Not yet. Michael's business accounts were tied to me. Every contract, every deal, we had built it together. But he had underestimated me. Quietly, I began pulling strings. A frozen account here. A delayed payment there. Important clients suddenly received anonymous tips about Michael's unfaithfulness and dishonesty. The cracks in his empire grew wider with each passing day. And the best part? He had no idea I was behind it all. Meanwhile, Sophia was falling apart. The messages I sent her grew more cruel, more convincing. Fake screenshots of Michael flirting with other women. Fabricated emails where he called her just a distraction. It didn't take long before she couldn't take it anymore. One night, she stormed into our house, her eyes blazing. "You liar!" she screamed at Michael. "You told me I was the only one, but you're cheating on me too." Michael froze, his face twisting in shock. "What?" "No, Sophia. That's not true. Don't you dare," she snapped, shoving the fake screenshots into his hands. "We're done, Michael. Do you hear me? Done." And just like that, she walked out of his life. I watched from the top of the stairs, hiding a smile. With Sophia gone and his reputation in shambles, Michael crumbled. He stopped going to work. He drank too much. He yelled at everyone and everything. And every night, he begged me, "Olivia, please, don't leave me. You're all I have left." I would just look at him, this broken shell of the man who once betrayed me, and whisper, "You should have thought about that before." But my revenge wasn't complete yet. No, there was one last card to play. Inside it was a carefully crafted presentation, photos, recordings, documents, everything laid out in order. And I knew exactly where to send it. His boss, his business partners, his family, his closest friends. One click, and the truth exploded everywhere at once. By morning, Michael had lost his job, his reputation, and every ounce of respect he had left. He sat at the kitchen table, his head in his hands, his body trembling. "They all know," he whispered. "Everyone knows. I've lost everything." I stood across from him, calm, steady, unshaken. "No, Michael," I said coldly. "You didn't lose everything. You threw it away." His eyes lifted to mine, filled with regret, with fear, with desperation. "Olivia, please, I need you." I stepped closer, leaning down so my face was inches from his. "You needed me the day you betrayed me. Now you only need to live with the ruins you created." And with that, I turned and walked away. As the door shut behind me, I heard him sobbing, broken, destroyed. But this wasn't the end. Because while my revenge was complete, the question remained, what would I do with the freedom I had taken back? Would I rebuild my life from scratch? Or would the scars of betrayal haunt me forever? Either way, Michael was finished. And I was finally free. The morning after Michael's downfall, the world felt quiet. For the first time in months, I didn't wake up to the sound of whispered lies or my own racing thoughts. The house was still, the air heavy, but my heart felt lighter. Michael hadn't left the bedroom since his breakdown. I could hear him pacing, sometimes crying, sometimes screaming into the walls. But I was done listening. I packed slowly, carefully, deliberately. Every piece of clothing folded neatly, every keepsake wrapped and placed into the suitcase. It wasn't just packing, it was cleansing. This house, once filled with love and laughter, was now just a graveyard of broken promises. I left the wedding ring on the bedside table. Its gold band no longer symbolized unity, but betrayal. Before I closed the door, I whispered softly, almost to myself, "Goodbye, Michael." I moved into a small apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, Nothing luxurious. Just mine. The first night there, I sat on the floor with a cup of tea, watching the city lights flicker outside my window. For the first time in years, I felt safe. No more lies. No more betrayal. No more walking on eggshells. Just me. But freedom didn't erase the pain. At night, I still dreamed of Michael's laughter, of our happy days before the betrayal. Sometimes I woke up reaching for him, only to remember the truth. Revenge had given me justice, yes. But healing, that would take time. Still, every scar reminded me of my strength. Word spread quickly. Michael had lost his job, his friends, and Sophia. His family disowned him, ashamed of the scandal. People whispered his name in disgust. He couldn't even walk into a cafe without someone pointing, judging. And yet, he tried to reach me. Phone calls. Emails. Flowers left at my apartment door. Olivia, please. I made a mistake. I'll change. Just give me one more chance. But I never answered. I knew better. Some mistakes can never be undone. One evening, I attended a charity event hosted by a friend. I wasn't looking for anything. No love, no companionship. Just connection. That's when I met Daniel. He wasn't flashy, not the kind of man who would sweep you off your feet with grand gestures. But he was kind. Steady. Honest. We talked for hours, not about love or betrayal, but about books, art, and dreams. For the first time, I felt seen for who I truly was, not for the role I played in someone else's life. Weeks passed, and Daniel gently became a part of my life. He didn't push, didn't demand. He simply showed up, consistent, reliable. One night, as we walked through the city lights, he turned to me. "You've been hurt deeply," he said softly. "I can see it in your eyes. But I want you to know, I'll never be the man who betrays you." Tears welled in my eyes, not because I was ready to love again, but because someone finally understood. For the first time, I realized that my story wasn't about Michael anymore. It was about me. But fate had one last twist. Months later, I ran into Michael outside a grocery store. He looked nothing like the man I once knew. His hair was unkempt, his clothes wrinkled, his eyes hollow. "Olivia," he whispered, his voice trembling. "Please, I'm begging you. Come back. I need you." I looked at him, truly looked at him, and for the first time, I felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. No love. Just closure. "You don't need me, Michael," I said calmly. "You need to face yourself. Goodbye." And with that, I walked away. Standing outside, the cool breeze against my skin, I smiled. I had walked through betrayal. I had burned in the fire of revenge. And I had emerged stronger. This wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new one. Because sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone else's life. It's about reclaiming your own. He destroyed my trust. But I built my strength. And in the end, that was the sweetest revenge of all.